Hi, everybody. Welcome. I'm just going to hit next. I'm Divya Orr. I'm with Phocas Software. I have been with the company for about 8 years. Just a little bit about me. I'm kind of a unique salesperson. I actually have a pretty strong technical background and used to implement Phocas years ago, taken over 200 customers live myself, and then over the years, worked on customer success and led our inside sales team. And now I'm working hand in hand with the action team here, as they are a reseller of Phocas Software. And they have, over the last 3 years, spent a ton of time investing in building some really great pre-built solutions for their customers, just like you guys for Deltek. And also they're for other verticals as well. And I've got with me Melissa Pazinski, so I'll let her introduce herself as well.
I am Melissa Pazinski, and I have been with Action for 3 years, running the data team for the Deltex, working hand in hand with Divya to make sure data flows correctly in every direction. Prior to that, 20 years in the AE industry as an end user, so very, very familiar with what Deltek does, what it can't do, what it can do, and how to get the most out of the investment.
Awesome. Yeah, it's been great, you guys. It really is like the best of both worlds with having our partnership established with Action, because they know your ERP really well. Having that solution flow into our tool with Phocas is giving you guys that data accuracy coming out of Deltek, and partnered with a BI tool, financial planning. So today's session is going to be a little bit more interactive than a traditional webinar. So hopefully you aren't just planning on sitting back and relaxing and eating food or whatever it is that people usually do on a webinar. There will be a prize sent. You can choose between wine tasting or cookies at the end. So stay on for the whole time. Today, I'm going to be going over a couple things. So it is going to be primarily focused on financial planning and analytics today. So that's where we're going to spend most of our time on the demo. But I'm going to be going over just Phocas, who we are. We're going to be spending some time talking about the state of the CFO today in 2024, how things have been changing over the years, and how CFOs are starting to be looked at to turn into like a strategic advisor, more of that role, instead of reporting and sending out just month-end reports each month. And then we're going to go into a demo of all 3 products: analytics, financial statements, budgeting, and forecasting. And then we'll also have an open Q&A. So feel free to type into the chat. If you want to unmute, you can totally do so. But I want to start off with just kind of understanding who we've got in the room today. We have about 24 attendees that have joined in. So if you guys are able to scan this QR code, you should be able to with your phone, or even to do it from your laptop with the URL and this code at the top. But I'd love to just kind of understand if we've got people mainly from finance or IT. Awesome. Results are flowing. I should have like background theme music playing as we wait.
Note to self for next time.
Yeah. Looks like we've got a pretty nice, even group here. I mean, still primarily a lot of finance and accounting. We've got 18 responses out of 25, so I think that's pretty good. So it looks like we've got, primarily finance and accounting. I'm thinking maybe we've got some CPAs, controllers, CFOs across the board. I love to see that we've got some IT and operations folks as well. So the reason I want to ask this is kind of just for me to understand where I'm gearing the presentation today. If anybody has any, specific things that you guys are looking for, please feel free to enter them in the chat. But from what I see today, I think this presentation is going to be really exciting for you guys, just kind of going through what we're hearing from the other Deltek customers in your guys' space. So Melissa and I were just at the CFO Summit with customers in your same industry, and then Amy and I just 2 days ago were in Minneapolis with more of you learning all about the current struggles that you guys have today. But Phocas, at a glance, we have over 3,000 customers right now all across the globe. Our headquarters in the U.S. is in Costa Mesa. We started off in Sydney, Australia, then branched out over into the U.S. And then our development team is in New Zealand. So we've got a pretty great footing kind of all across the globe here. We've got over 200 integrations, so not only with Deltek, but we can also bring in other data sources as well. If you have a CRM, if you use Google Analytics, things like that, that you want to integrate with your platform with Phocas, we can do that. We are really proud to share that we have a 97% customer retention rate here. We love our customers. We want to make sure that you guys are using the tool, that you're adopted with it. And so far, so good. And we're also recently certified as a B Corp, which really aligns to my values. So it's been pretty great. But we've been, we strive to have less paper and help our customers in any way that we can, and also have quite a few customers that use Phocas that are, in the same space as that. So, what reporting tool are you guys using today? Are you primarily pulling reports out of Deltek directly for your financials and overall project management reports, or are you using Excel, or do you guys have a tool like Power BI or Tableau? Interesting. Okay. Deltek. What kind of thoughts do you have here, Melissa? Anything? It's interesting to see the other BI and FP&A showing up.
Well, and I wonder, we probably should in the future ask a follow-up question. If you're pulling reports out of Deltek, how many of you then use them to Excel to work with them? So.
Yeah, that's exactly kind of what I'm thinking too. Is from what I see with the Deltek reports, are you guys just? And I know no one can really answer, but if you have the chat button and you want to say something, from what I'm seeing in here, it's kind of seems like usually what we see is you pull a report out of Deltek, either a PDF or you can pull it out into Excel, and then you're further manipulating that report. So if it's especially if it's a financial statement, you're probably going in and changing things or creating some type of report with multiple tabs to then send out to your team. So what I do think is interesting about that is usually it's Deltek, but it's kind of Deltek and Excel. So we're kind of heavily leaning towards this side. For other,
that's what I'm seeing in the comments too, is that because you can't think with it so much in Deltek, so you need to pull it in Excel in order to mess with it. So.
Oh yeah, we do have some comments. Pull it out of Deltek and move into Excel. Deltek to Excel. I pull reports from Vantage Point, pop them into Excel to format. Awesome. Deltek reporting is too clunky. Okay, I love it. Keep them coming, guys. For those who are using a different BI or FP&A tool, would you mind dropping in the chat what you're using today, just so for us to know? Is it the Tableau solution that you have with Vantage Point, or is it Power BI or something totally separate? Power BI, okay. Tableau. Oh, Informer. Okay, interesting. So what I like to kind of just share about just kind of what we know, or what I'm familiar with Power BI, and just what I've heard from other Deltek customers is with Power BI, you typically have to have either a third-party consultant or an IT team to help you set up all of the queries in the data warehouse to pull into into Power BI. And usually it can be a little bit difficult to modify and manipulate those. So if you want to change the time period or change a filter, you still have to go back to somebody either in IT or consulting to go and change that for you for the dashboards or the reports. It's not super easy for the end user to go in and change what's pulling. That's kind of what I've heard. So people are kind of wanting something where it's a little more self-service for the end user from the PM side, but also for the executive team. And then the other thing that we hear a lot is they want a tool that they can actually see the financial information, their budget and forecast information, and their project management data all in one place. And with Power BI, usually you aren't able to see all of the above. You're usually having like, Excel reports for financial statements, Power BI dashboards over here. And so you kind of have like data in different places and not really in a single source of truth. So just kind of with that, what we hear, what we're kind of hearing kind of from that pain point, especially from customers in your industry, is that you guys right now, you've got multiple complex projects that you are working on. You've got tons of moving parts. You're dealing with labor shortages. You are having difficulty with visibility into the percentage of completion of projects, looking at that accurately, looking at year-over-year analysis. You might be limited to only looking at things job to date, tracking budget to actual, because right now maybe you're just looking at month-end reports, so you're looking at last month to budget, not looking at today to budget. And also just being able to see the accuracy of AP and AR easily instead of having to just go into Deltek every single time, having that being available to your team quicker in a reporting solution, or having it be like having alerts even sent to you automatically through a tool. So kind of moving back over into our presentation of kind of the CFO role of today, I want to kind of understand what you guys would say. How would you describe the role of the CFO in one word? My word, I'm thinking leader. But I'd like to kind of get a lay of the land of what you would say. So what would you envision how a CFO being, if you were to say in one word? This one's apparently tricky. Oh, interesting. Enabler.
I see one in the chat as well. It says Puppet Master.
Deltek needs to enhance the ability to pull data from multiple modules. Melissa, what are your thoughts on that?
That's exactly why we struggle with the dashboards and reports in VantagePoint. They're excellent data. It's just crossing info centers you can't do and within VantagePoint or division. But we can in Phocas, so that's.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. So is Phocas kind of the what you're using as the tool now at Action? Okay.
Actually finding Phocas replacing custom report needs, because you can pull different areas together in one place and then just build out what you want.
That's awesome. So what modules right now from Deltek can we pull into Phocas today?
Any of them. So we're pulling in, for those on the call, we're pulling all the employee data, labor data, transaction data, all your AR data, your project data, your clients and your vendors, contacts, all that comes in, as well as custom fields for those areas. So as long as you can link the two info centers together by such as like the employee number, we can cross-reference all the data and then bring it in and build a report out of that.
Awesome.
And they have the flexibility to do that on their own after we set it up for them.
And you can print the dashboards in Phocas.
Exactly.
What would you say is like the difference between standard Phocas dashboards and the reporting and dashboards that you see that's included within Deltek?
The focus ability and the immediate drill down all the way to the transaction level. Okay. So you can do some of that in range, but not at the speed you can do in Phocas.
Okay. So let's take a look at our word cloud. Looks pretty. So we've got, interesting. I love that one. Glue. Okay. Glue, visionary, leader, data collector, financial decision maker. We see that a couple times. Advisor, liaison, the guardian of the data. Interesting. Okay. So we actually, with these answers, we actually kind of have the role of the CFO in on both sides described to us. We've got, kind of like that vision of the CFO kind of being the controller of like all of the data, the one who's looking at the numbers, making sure that we're on track to budget, the person who you got to go to make sure that we can approve whatever thing that we need to buy. Maybe like Phocas. No, I'm kidding. But things like that. And then also we've got the other side of it of where we want to be with the visionary, the leader, helping the company grow. Not only just from the finance aspect, but like looking at the company as a whole, and having all the entire executive team kind of leaning on the CFO for guidance as a strategic advisor. So, I really like this slide. I kind of just pulled together a couple of quotes that we've seen, from different resources, but of really what people have described the state of the CFO as today. My favorite one on this one is, today's CFOs. So people used to think the CFO was there to tell you there isn't enough budget when you needed something, or simply to report financial results after the fact. Today's CFOs must break away from the number cruncher stereotype and think of themselves as more of a strategic player in the company. CFOs today need to be creative, understand best practices, and know how to create more value for the company. There will always be a need for someone to balance the books, to crunch the numbers, and perform critical routines, but the CFO role is much more dynamic today. I think that really hits home for most of the customers, CFOs and controllers that I speak with, is that, before you're spending all your time exporting data from the ERP into Excel, manipulating it, making sure the numbers are right, sending it out on a monthly basis. And that is pretty much where most of your time is being spent. And really right now, you need to be using that time to look at the financial position today, where you're at to budget, and starting to reforecast to help make decisions quickly. In this day and age, you kind of need data right away. And so we pulled this from FP&A trends, if you're familiar with that, but I think this is a chart to show you, where we've got tons of people who responded. This is a survey that you guys can go and totally go and look at, but hundreds of thousands of users who are in your industry, just overall in FP&A, have submitted where they spend most of their time. And people are spending majority of their time on the left-hand side of this chart, spending their time pulling data out, creating month-end reports, where most people are wanting to be on the other side of this chart, driving action, being able to look at their data quickly to make better decisions, be able to identify where your business is not performing, where you are under budget, where you could do better. Wouldn't it be nice if you had a tool that was updating every single day with that data, so that you could see where you're in the red, where you're in the green, and instead of spending the time to create that statement and just looking at stuff from last month? Well, you're in the right place. So really, you guys all have a great ERP system, and that's kind of the first step in kind of bridging the gap of becoming a strategic, or expanding your tech stack. You need to have an ERP in place to get all that data collected in one spot, and then you need a great BI or FP&A tool to in combination with your ERP, to be able to easily view all of that data, put it together, and do the things that you guys want, like having multiple P&L statements, having detailed cash flows, looking at being able to budget quarterly, reforecast that data, and being able to look at that actual to budget, and having that update every single night, sending automated alerts to your team, sending automated reports so that the time that you're spending creating those reports is now going into analyzing the data to see where your business is underperforming or performing well. So just to kind of understand who we've got based on kind of what we're showing today, are you guys currently on Vision or Vantage Point? And we do have solutions for both. Well, interesting. Majority Vantage Point. As soon as I said that, then the Vision one starts to go up. All right, Melissa, I think this one was for you.
Well, and really, yeah, because in Vision, you know that you're getting ready to go to Vantage Point at some point, and you're looking at the fact that, okay, I'm going to have dashboards from Vantage Point. But those that are in Vantage Point have said, okay, I have these great dashboards, but now I need an additional step. And there is an offering, or has been an offering by Deltek of like Vantage Point analytics. However, it only pulled from Vantage Point data. And Deltek has now announced a sunset date for support of their analytics. But I am glad for that, because I would rather their resources, and I don't mean that in a negative light. But having their resources really focus on making Vantage Point the tool it can be, and let somebody else be connected, taking care of the analytics side, gives them better strength and a better product. So
yeah, awesome. And yeah, so we can bring in ADP data in two ways. So we can do if you wanted to budget like off of headcount to forecast like your FTE, we can do like an import of that, and then you can like start forecasting that, tie it to your GL budget so that ties into the salary and wages GL accounts. Or we can do an API connection. Just depends on we just have to work with your ADP consultant to get the information out. We've got some customers who've pulled in like the payroll data to look at like number of hours specifically within Phocas and analyze that. Okay, interesting. We've heavily invested in Tableau, and we're now in the process of moving to Power BI. Okay, great. So you're in the process of moving to Power BI. Perfect timing. Well, hopefully you haven't gotten too far down that road, and we can get you implemented with Phocas, because it is a very quick implementation for us with the solution that Action has put together for you guys. So kind of actually, this is like the perfect slide for all the questions that are coming through. ERP and other data sources. So again, we kind of do a crawl, walk, run here with Action and Phocas. We like to start you guys off with the core solution that we have built out for our Deltek customers. So that would be, looking at your project financials, labor. What else do we have in there? It's resource.
whatever contracts and sales, the pipeline is able to pull from there. BDs can use that very much so.
Perfect. Labor, AR, and then the financial statements. But you guys are also able to bring in additional data sources. So if you have like a CRM like Salesforce or HubSpot that you want to connect to, or a project management tool or things like that, as long as it's like API, ODBC, text file, anything like that, we can bring that data into Phocas as well. So you're not limited to just pulling in your Deltek data. You can pull in other sources of data as well.
And you can even do an Excel file. You can pull in an Excel file and
yeah.
put it.
Exactly. Yeah, I forget about that. It's a simple one. Yeah, so if you have just stuff that you guys are tracking in Excel that you want to pull in, we can pull that in too. But what we're doing, right, how this all works is we basically pull in all the transaction level data from Deltek and push that into our analytics tool. And then we pull it in at the transactions for both financials and for the project financials, labor, all of that. And then we set it up to update just nightly right now. So you have that data updated every day. I don't know if we can do it more frequently than that or not, Melissa.
Some of the data we will, financials, usually it makes sense to pull them at the end of the day, but we can do incremental throughout the day, such as, especially with Vantage Point, you have stage changes, how many of my projects are, have been won and stuff like that. So we can do incremental updates during the day for certain parts.
Awesome. Okay. And what's great about this tool is that because we have all three, we've got your BI, your financial statements, and your budgeting and forecasting in one place. This allows for the entire team, the entire executive team, all the way down to your project managers to all be looking at the same thing. So that single source of truth. All of your data is in one place and everybody's looking at one spot. You've got an overview dashboard of the projects, but also your KPIs and even your budgets and forecasts, right? So this and it's easy to use. We try to go by the feel good platform. So we have two solutions with Deltek. We've got a Deltek Vision solution and a Deltek Vantage Point solution. Sounds like most people are running Vantage Point, so that's great. And just wanted to show on the screenshot that we can embed Phocas dashboards right into Vantage Point. So if you want your users to just have access to seeing Phocas right within Vantage Point, you can see right here, we can pull in whatever dashboards you guys would like to see right within Vantage Point. I got another question. Can you pull in Smartsheet files? Yeah, I think we can. We actually use Smartsheet internally. I haven't tested it before, but we could explore it. What majorly sets Phocas apart from Power BI and Tableau? Okay, let's see. Do I have another slide here? We'll kind of go back to this one. So the biggest difference between Power BI, Tableau, and Phocas. So Power BI and Tableau are more like general purpose BI tools, right? They're great tools, but they were not created industry specific or with pre-built integrations to certain ERPs. So like with Power BI, you typically have to go in and you have to you usually have a third-party team or you have an IT team in-house that goes in and writes all the queries for you to push into Power BI. Power BI is just an analytics tool, so you usually need to have as well a separate financial planning tool, like whether that be Adaptive, Elixo, things like that, to have your financial reporting, and you might even need to have another tool for your forecasting. So with Phocas, because we are industry specific and our strategy is to work with ERP partners like Action who know your ERP system. They've built out a solution that's already pre-built where you don't need to have a data warehouse. You don't need to go find a third-party IT team. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. We've already built out all of those reports, the analytics for you. The integration's ready to go. And we've built it out based on whatever other customers in your industries are doing. So we've got dashboards pre-built, ready to go for what other Deltek customers are wanting to see. It kind of enables you guys to have more of that self-service aspect and not spending a ton of time and actually just rewriting an integration to Deltek because it's already done. And you guys can spend your time creating dashboards, and analyzing your data instead of spending 1 to 2 years and potentially thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars to get those other tools set up.
I found the dashboard flexibility is probably one of the biggest things because you're not having to go decode like, oh, I want this dashboard to display 3 months versus 2 weeks. There's no recoding with that. It's a single click.
Yeah, I remember that you showed me that actually in one of them. So we've seen like for one of our customers, Melissa had showed me for Power BI, if you got like a widget on a dashboard, if it's showing you like the last 2 months or job to date, you actually have to go back into SQL and change the time frame that it's showing. With Phocas, you can just flexibly change the time period right in the front end. So there's no coding involved. It's designed for the end user to go in and flexibly change things and use it on your own. So again, we've got 3 tools for you guys with our business planning and analytics platform. Analytics, which is going to have the project related data, the labor data, a financial statements tool, and a budgeting and forecasting tool. We started off as just a BI company years ago, and then in the last about 3 years ago, we launched our financial statements and our budgeting and forecasting tools because we had a lot of customers who said they wanted to have everything in one spot. So we expanded our team and developed those. But with that, I'm going to go into a demo. So what do you think? We start off with project management, or we start off with financials?
Projects for a few moments, but we definitely need to see the financial aspect.
All righty, guys. So what I have on my screen right now is a project manager dashboard. This will give you a really great overview, like a 30,000 foot overview of all the different projects that you guys currently have available. We can see down below that we've got all of our project managers listed. So with Phocas, again, you can go ahead and filter anything on the dashboard. So let's say I wanted to look at just my active projects. I can hit Phocas and it's going to filter everything on my screen down below. I could choose, one particular project manager, and I can see all the projects related to that project manager down here. I can see the phases. I can see the tasks. I could even look at it by revenue type if I want to just take away that filter, take away my filter from active status, remove that project manager. I can just hit reset and it's like an Etch-a-Sketch. I can keep on scrolling down here below and I can see, we've even got down to our AR information as well by client. Overall, what the AR aging looks like, our project stats specifically, how much is direct labor, what our profit is, what our overhead is. I've got our utilization rate displayed here by employee. Let's say you want to.
And all these are widgets that can be moved anywhere, changing.
Exactly, yeah. So I just resized that one. If you wanted to, switch the display here, you can just click and drag and drop that to move it. And if you wanted to edit it, so let's say, for the phase, maybe up here at your list of all your projects, you want to add another metric here. So we just see net profit, but I don't have I don't have the gross margin. I can actually hit edit right here within my dashboard, and it's going to pull up a list of all of the metrics that I have available to go ahead and add an additional column in here. And maybe because now I have 40 people on my internet. Oh, here we go. I can go in here. I can actually just view the other metrics. So you can see right here within the widget, I actually have the ability to add in additional values. So if I want to add that net profit margin, I could just check that. But you can see there's other calculations that we've brought in here for you. So now I just added that net profit in there, hit save, and now I added an additional column right in here to my dashboard. The other thing though is all of these widgets right now, they're set to job to date, right? But we hear all the time, well, one thing that we struggle with our Vantage Point dashboards or even with our Tableau or Power BI is that we can't change the time frame. So with Phocas, you can change any of them right here to whatever time frame you want, and it's going to update everything in the dashboard to that time frame that you selected. If you want to go back, you can just hit filter. Now, from any of these dashboards, you can drill down into the detail behind the scenes. So if you wanted to drill down from here to get into project financials, right from that dashboard, I can drill into the database here, this is actually the Phocas grid, which is really the secret sauce of Phocas, where you can actually start to slice and dice your data and follow your train of thought, maybe by looking at, overall, like how many projects are in a particular phase, or how many projects are by one client, or maybe you have you're looking at a particular margin amount by project, something like that. We can kind of start to follow our train of thought within this grid. But before we get into the grid, I do want to just kind of call out one key thing about that solution that we've been mentioning a few times. So with Deltek, and with this solution for Vantage Point, you guys will get out of the box an AR database, a contracts, labor, planning, and project financials. So this is all the content that we have ready to go for you to get started. And we can pull all of these aspects together into a dashboard. So this project manager dashboard, for example, we're pulling in the project financials, the labor, and I think AR and contracts data all together into creating this full picture view for your project managers. And when your project managers log into Phocas, you can actually set it up to where it's restricted to them. So when they open up this dashboard, everything will be filtered to just their projects.
And that goes along with the question about security roles. Security can be managed separately within, or is managed separately within Phocas, which is actually really nice because you can get even more granular with the data that you want people to see. So.
Yeah, so you can go in, we can manage our users right here. So if I wanted to pick, like, for example, we'll pick on John. I can go in here. I could go over to, the profile. I could set up, what I want him to be able to do. And then I could go in and I can actually view what databases he's able to access. And then I could even restrict. So if we went into project financials, I could say, I only want you to be able to see the projects where you are the project manager on them. And then that would set up the restriction for this user. You can do it one user at a time, or you can bulk update the restrictions, all that kind of stuff. I see, does it matter if you're on-prem or a SaaS client with Deltek? Melissa, will you answer that one?
It does not. So on-prem, obviously you can just, connect. If you are a client on Deltek Cloud, it requires the ODBC connection. So you will need the ODBC licensing to do the connection.
Awesome. And then I think this one, where we're at, 2021 in here. I saw a question to look at planning.
Yeah. And we're still in some basic plan data right now. So, and I apologize, guys. Some of this is my trash data in a trash database that I handed to Divya. So, she's doing great with that.
Yeah. So for the planning, it looks like in here we can load in like all your plan IDs, and then you can look at your planned labor.
And we're getting ready to update some of this because Deltek is updating, and coming in the 7 series of Deltek updates, they're going to be giving us scenario planning. So I'm getting ready to start updating these scripts so that we can start planning accordingly for that.
Awesome. Yeah. So like, let's say you wanted to look at like your planned labor hours, costs, what you've billed, consultant revenue, maybe like compensation fee, all of that. Then we could look at that by each of your plan IDs. And then you can even go down, like look at the project managers, but maybe you want to look at like a nested view, and then bring your, let's see if I want to do plan ID and then bring my project manager up here. Now I could see like underneath each project manager, all of their plans, and then like the labor hours, cost, consultant revenue, compensation fee, like all side by side here.
So,
is there anything specific that you wanted to see? Who was it? Jenna, you wanted to see with planning? Oh, hi, Jenna. I think I saw you talk to you earlier. Okay, perfect. It does. We're going to go move into financials pretty soon here. I see you touched a little bit on budgeting and forecasting. Is Phocas able to pull from Deltek and CRM? Yes, we can help you create that.
a quick comment on the ODBC. I have like a couple clients that are very, very large, and overnight their update runs, and it takes maybe an hour to pull the entire set of transactions in and update. So it's Obviously, on-prem would be faster. It's a faster connection just because you're not going over to ODBC. But um, we haven't had any issues with the ODBC component.
Awesome. Yeah. Um, I haven't seen anything. So basically, like most of our implementations actually for the last 20 years have been on premise because cloud ERP is very new. So that's actually our sweet spot is legacy ERP implementations. But then now the cloud ERPs are even better because we can do a lot quicker loads for you guys if you want things like as of every 15 minutes or something. That was like unheard of when it was all on-prem, and now with the cloud to cloud, you guys can get a lot quicker. I hear real time all the time, so we're getting close with all of that. So, okay, I've got financial statements dashboard pulled up here for you guys for a quick kind of view of what you can do with everything once you've created your financial statements. So you can go in and you can build, with our financial statements tool, you can create and customize a number of different P&Ls if you need them. So we'll start you off with a profit and loss statement, balance sheet, a cash flow, and a trial balance. You're able to clone and customize any of those. So if you need to have a board P&L, or you need to have like a detailed cash flow for indirect versus direct expenses, if you need to have a high level balance sheet, a more detailed balance sheet, you can clone and create all of those as templates, and those will update every single night within Phocas so that you don't, from Deltek at the transaction level, so that you don't need to go in and like download any data from Deltek, manipulate it. It's all going to come into here. You'll also have the ability to create as up to 4 or 5 different levels of groupings for your profit and loss if you need multi-level profit and loss statement. You can do that for all the other ones. You can also create, yes, it's being recorded. You can also create multiple different views for the balance sheet as well. So then once you guys go in and you create your profit and loss statement or your balance sheet, you can actually create a budget off of those within Phocas. So that's what the budgeting and forecasting is. And we can also pull in your project data too if you wanted to create a project forecast within Phocas. So from here, just kind of to show you an overview, right? We talked about how you want to turn into a strategic advisor. So with Phocas, this is going to give you a really quick and easy way to see right now, as of today, where I'm at with my numbers at, travel expenses, for example, down to the GL account. I can see, we're down. It's very quick and easy for you to see what's red, where you're down, where you're up this year versus last year, and to budget. You can keep scrolling down, and if you guys wanted to track trends, if you want to look at, your EBITDA, if you guys have particular calculations or things you like to include or exclude for your EBITDA, you can go in and modify whatever you want calculation to be made up of, and I'll show you how you can do that. You guys can create financial ratios within Phocas, so you can pull in your balance sheet information, your balance sheet and P&L data to create those ratios. Can take a look at our cash flow position, our balance sheet. So if you guys want to have like more of a detailed balance sheet as well, being able to look at all of that to budget. And then if you just want to look at a whole bunch of different KPIs all at once to kind of see where you're at this year versus last year, you can create all of these different ratios. So now if we go up here back to the top to the P&L, now I know that there's quite a few numbers in here that we're down to budget, but I want to find out more about why. So I can just hit this little arrow and it's going to take me into my financial statements. And this is where I can actually start doing the drill down. So from here, if I wanted to look into, for example, just this one account, I could actually drill down and go into the GL transactions right from my profit and loss statement. So this is something that a lot of customers get really excited about because you can go in and look at the individual GL entries for that account, and it's going to be filtered to that time period that you're looking at. Now, this is where you can go in and actually customize those statements. So right here on the left-hand side, you can see I've got a P&L, a balance sheet, a cash flow, a trial balance, and then I've got some additional cloned statements here. And I could go in, and if I want to look at how I can customize them, I can open that up, and you'll see I've got a list of all of those statements that we had over here. And I can easily click into profit and loss, and I can reorder anything I want in the display, rename, change what I want my formulas to be made up of. So just by referring to the letters over here. And then you can go over here to accounts. It's going to give you a whole list of your chart of accounts. And then this is where you can actually select what group you want these to be in. If you guys want additional levels, you can hit create new, and you could do, additional groupings. And then let's say if we wanted to look for, let's say like other cost of goods sold. Actually, I want to go into travel. Like for travel and entertainment, maybe I want to make this one hotel expenses. You can just type it in and add an additional grouping right there.
This type of functionality, being able to do custom equations and calculations and stuff, is throughout the system. It's not just in the financial statements. And so that's one of the reasons we like using Phocas over custom reports, because you're not having to try to create a field or a custom thing to come into your report. And it does help with not having to make a lot of custom fields in Vantage Point to feed a report.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah, totally. That, and also even with Excel, right? Like typically, you guys are probably creating or have a ton of formulas in your Excel spreadsheets for financial statements, and all of those have a risk of either getting, deleted or somebody making a mistake on those. Now these formulas are going to be built into your statement template here, and it's, that they're accurate and nothing's going to change with them as well. And so these are just some examples of some financial ratios that you can go ahead and create in here. We got a lot of questions flowing in, so I'm going to keep going until we get to questions, so I can show you guys everything. But in here, let's say you guys have multiple entities. We hear that all the time, or multiple divisions. If you want to be able to do like a side-by-side P&L statement, we can actually go in and click on our entity dimension here, and I can look at, maybe our 3 trading entities, hit OK. And now I'm going to get a consolidated P&L and a side-by-side individual P&L for each one of my entities. And yes, you can export any of these into Excel, PDF, whatever you want, whatever format you want. And you can subscribe to receive them on a monthly basis, daily basis, specific day of the month, if you want your users to just get this automated and sent out to them in a PDF format. Now, let's say in this example, you don't want to look at current, previous, and budget. You just want to look at the current. You could go in, uncheck the budgets and previous, and now you've just got, where you guys are at currently for the year. And then maybe you want to change it to a different time period. You could just look at the last 3 months. You can go look at, a particular month, like maybe you want to look at just January 2021. If there is data in it, we'll see. But you can just look at one particular month. Okay, we don't have any in that one, but for example, it's very easy to go in and change and filter that. Another feature that I really like, so we need to put either our budget back in here to show us that, and I want to do this one. So if we want to look at like our percentage contribution and our percentage revenue here, I can drop this down and I can actually look at each one of our different expenses and see that by each GL account as well. Now let's say I want to remove that filter and go back to just looking at my total. And I've just got it at looking at this year versus the budget. Now I want to bring in some in-chart, in-grade visualizations. I love this feature. I call it the sparkle line. It's a spark line, but you can go in and you can actually see a really cool chart for each one of these. So if I drop down like my cost of goods sold, for example, I can actually hover over in this grid and see that. And you guys can also easily create visualizations right here within Phocas. Okay, what other questions do we have? I see a lot. Is there a way to export P&L at a point in time for each month end? Yes, so you can export to Excel at any point in time. What are the requirements? We'll save that one for probably until the end. Are there any limits to customization? Not really. So that was kind of the reason why we have so many options here. With it, really, our customers came to us saying that they wanted to be able to rename everything, reorder everything, have the ability to change what the names are even for the columns. So we even just recently released this customized columns feature where you can actually rename the columns, change what the column definition is, reorder them, add new ones as well. There's quite a lot of options that you guys can do with customizing it. With our last couple of minutes, I'm just going to jump over into budgeting and forecasting since I know that a couple of people wanted to see it. But for the budgets and forecasts, you can go in and actually create a budget. Let's see if I can open up this one here. So this is an example of a budget that we can just go in and create with our budgeting and forecasting module. You can pull in any P&L format that you guys have created in the financial statements within Phocas, and you can collaborate within this tool. So you can add in any users that you have as a Phocas user to go in and enter in their budget numbers. You can save this as a reforecast monthly, and it will pull in the actuals. So if you want to do like a 1 plus 11, a 2 plus 10, a 3 plus 9, all that, you can go in and save and reforecast. And then you can publish this right back into Phocas Financials to look at that actual to budget. But for example, in here you can see I've got, exactly what that P&L looked like before. You can do it at multiple levels. So I've got a category by my different entities and then at the GL account, and I can assign this to an individual user. We've got, cell history to make sure that your version, if people are entering in numbers, you can see what numbers people have entered in. It keeps things a lot more secure than in Excel because it's a little less error prone because each cell is locked down to one user at a time. And then you could go in, and then this is where you can save a forecast, and you can do, whichever forecast you'd like. I think I already have one created in here from earlier today. So you can take a look. I've got in here a couple of months of actuals, January through April, and then my forecast amount. And then this is where you could go in and actually forecast out what you want to do. So if you wanted to snap to budget, follow actuals, hit apply, and it's going to snap what you need to do to meet that budget number by account, and also apply that all the way down to the individual GL account level. We can also add in additional tabs like your headcount. So that's where we pull in the ADP. You can bring in a balance sheet. So if you wanted to create a cash flow forecast, you can bring in that balance sheet, enter in that number, and then Phocas will auto generate a cash flow forecast for you. And then you can add in additional drivers as well. Phew, that was a lot. Okay. Let's see, where are we at with
So real quick on the requirements for Phocas and Deltek upgrades. So what we do, because we know that Deltek, is constantly growing and improving. So as they add functionality or changes in their database, then we have our list of customers and we can say, hey, here's an update for your script that's going to help you pull in the latest features that Deltek has as well. So we're keeping it in compliance at all times. But even going from also the 6 and the 6.5 and stuff, we didn't have any changes. They added a few pieces, like the scenario planning starting to come out in 7, so we're getting ready to update some of the planning extracts, and we just send you a new script to the other one and you're good to go. So
Awesome.
That's it.
Okay, so I think I have, can you add, do we? Oh, cool.
Yes. Yes, we actually pull in all the write-off data. So in Vantage Point and in Vision, when you write off labor, for example, it is recorded in the system that you've written it off and when you wrote it off, and it's just the most of the reports won't pull that data in right, so you can easily in the analytics, the project analytics, look and see, how much did we write off in March.
That's awesome. Wait, did we lose your audio? Are you still there?
I am. Do you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Good. Okay, and then I also see if you guys hear, I think I have to hit enter. And let's see how this works. Answered. Oh, cool. Can Focus integrate with other? Yes, which we talked about a little bit. So we can integrate with all sorts of different sources, and we can talk to you guys. So with the action team, if there's a data source that maybe we haven't talked about, mentioned, or that you're thinking about, like someone mentioned Smartsheet, we can have a one-on-one conversation with you guys about how and what you guys are kind of looking at to see. But if it's data, we can usually pull it in. My services team is like hating me as I'm answering that. but usually we can. The only limitation can sometimes be with like API pull, what each company, sometimes they have rules about how much you can pull data out of certain websites. Okay, so I see, can you add custom data fields and or calculations in Focus and associate with records from ERP or CRM? You can add custom data fields and calculations into Focus. And I think we probably have to kind of learn a little bit more about what you mean by associating them with records from the ERP. I think so. Like let's say you had a client or a project that you pulled in to Focus, and you wanted to have like maybe you have a field of like a custom project end date or something that you don't have in Deltek. You could add that custom field date into Focus and tie it to the project based on the project ID. I think that would be just an example I could think of.
And all of your custom fields, memo fields get a little bit tricky because we all know that people go and paste things into memo fields that they should or should not do. But your other regular data fields, we can pull in to Focus. We can also pull your custom grids into Focus, which is a huge asset because I know that reporting from grids within Vantage Point and Vision can be a little tricky and frustrating, but we can pull those in and then associate across.
Yeah, awesome. And I know that we're at time. I just pulled this slide up for those if you guys need to hop off in the next minute, but I'll just continue answering some of these questions while I'm here. But feel free if you guys are interested in scheduling a one-on-one demo. I would love to meet you and learn about what you guys are looking for your reporting and help you get on to Focus. So feel free to reach out to myself, that's my email address, or to Melissa, and we can get a demo scheduled to learn a little bit more. But kind of onto some of those next questions. While I'm here, I see, what are the requirements for Focus for Deltek upgrades?
And that's what we were covering. Yeah. So we keep that working together because Deltek does change a few things. So, but
well, that's the questions.
I need to leave you, Divya, and it was a pleasure to enjoy it. I need to jump to another meeting, so I apologize. I need to jump.
All right. Bye, Melissa. Thank you.
Right.
Amy, do you want us to stay on? Should I continue answering questions, or should I answer them later on?
I'd say, if there's a few more to answer and people are able to stay on, then go ahead. I'd wrap it up in like 5 minutes though.
Okay, cool. So I've got, is there a way to export a P&L? I think we already did that one. Can this work with data in the Microsoft Fabric? I'm actually not familiar with Microsoft Fabric, but I can answer the on-prem SQL data warehouses. Yes, we can connect to any on-prem SQL data warehouse. Again, we can connect to SQL, ODBC, text files, API. can we add separate budgets for different offices? Yes, you guys can create as many different budget files as you want based on different locations. You can either set it up to have one budget and restrict users to only seeing their location, so you're just working off of one file, or you can have multiple. Well, thank you guys. It was really great to have everyone, and I appreciate all of the engagement.
Thank you, Divya.
You're welcome. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. Thanks for your time.
We appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.